Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is me, Biff Strange, your friendly neighborhood engineer. Anyone seen my balloon? Like they say, any PR is good PR. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Biff. Jason, what's happening? So yeah, you like that?
I love it, man.
Got our own CreatiVity talking weather balloon out there, gathering information.
That's fantastic.
Trying to get likes, people to
Yeah.
subscribe. So if you could just take a second right now, hit the like button, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff.
Well, the thing was shot down under, over my good state. So, I mean, we're proud of that.
Well, I was hoping it'd land on your car so you could get the day off.
Oh, dude, it came right over. It came right over town today, man. We saw it,
Oh, really?
Yeah. It came over Greenville. Yeah.
You see everyone, was there any helicopters following it?
Yeah, there were some helicopters around, but it got over. Apparently, they waited for it to get over the water down at Myrtle, and then the Air Force.
I think the concern was that there was a they're worried that there was an EMP attached. So if it was hit, it would set off an EMP. Then we'd all be screwed.
Well, I mean, hey, anything's possible these days, right?
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, unbelievable. So we're gonna go to a Vito trailer or Vito commercial right now. We'll be back in a second.
The Book of Vito Bupkis.
Hey everybody, it's your pal Vito. In this book, I talk about subjects people seem to get their panties in a wad over. I mean, who would have thunk? Gay fucking marriage, common fucking sense, garage fucking sales. But hey, what do I know? Guaranteed to offend, and it's available now at vincentcustos.com. And, you can get it there.
The Book of Vito Bupkis.
So order yours today, or else.
Or else. Yeah, so I went down to that Illinois Guitar and Gear Expo, excuse me.
Right.
Last Sunday. And right before I was supposed to go down, Jason Wells' music comes up and hey man, da-da-da. Does a little comment. I follow his link, go to YouTube, dug his music, and here he is, Mr. Jason Wells. What's up, man?
Hey there. Hey, guys.
Hey, how's
Thanks
it going?
for coming on. Appreciate it. Jason, this is Jason.
Nice to meet you.
I am Vince, or they call me V, and Biff Strange is around here somewhere. He's the engineer. He usually just hides out,
Sweet. Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. So, do you think there was an EMP? Do you think, what was the whole thing about the balloon? We were talking earlier, me and Mr. Wells, and I'm like, subterfuge. It's that old George Carlin thing.
Yeah. Look up in the sky.
Hey, there's a lot going on. Put up the balloon.
My grandpa used to tell me a story like you could go out, just stand there out in the crowd in a city somewhere, just look up in the sky and just wait for a bunch of people to come up and start looking up with you and then just walk away.
Having done that, it works. It absolutely works. People,
Yeah.
there was this one meme this week and it said, hey, what are you upset about? And two people looking at their phone. She's like, I don't know. They haven't told me yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's fitting.
Where's the critical thinking? Where's the,
Yeah. I mean, it's just there's too many things. I quit trying to figure it out. I just sit back and wait and do what's right here on my end. And
That's
right.
And, yeah.
Golly, I mean, hopefully they can figure out what to do with the balloon. And I don't know if it's some kind of Chinese. I'm not buying no Chinese spy. I mean, come on.
I know. Yeah. I was gonna grab a balloon from the store, but I got the wrong
spy on the U.S. Yeah. Let's send a balloon.
Different news story. But I was gonna get a balloon, but I forgot. So anyway, that whole thing's crazy.
Oh, it's great. It's like the
so Jason, where are you talking to us from tonight?
Well, I'm out in my my little studio here. It's in my home out in the garage. I built a little studio room. And this is where I've done a lot of albums actually, and so it's a cozy little spot.
And what part of Indiana are you from?
I'm in Frankfort, near Lafayette.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Lafayette's kind of the home base, and do a lot of stuff over there.
Cool.
So,
gotcha. I think my brother-in-law lives over there.
Oh yeah. It's a cool little city, and has a lot of creativity going on over there.
Well, that's what's most important, man.
Yeah.
You know, like when the whole lockdown happened, you know, I was hoping that out of it, one, people would become nicer. That wasn't the case. And then the other thing was that I hoped that would come out of it, we would get some great books, some great albums, some great songs, great poetry, great films.
Yeah.
That was the time if you were, and a lot of people quit doing what they were doing and did go the creative route. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It really, I think in a way, it really did draw people to that creative side and figure out what's important, you know, figure out what they've been missing the whole time, trying to live up to something they didn't even really want or need to begin with.
right.
You know. So I think there's a big change going. I think there's a big shift going, and there's a lot more creativity and a lot more. It's got to really mean something, or you know, on some level to people, you know.
Yeah.
Right. It's just not regurgitation of, okay, it's Thursday.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we thought we had that before, but
Right.
now we know what it really is, and people are looking for it. That's
Right. And what are the two big things people write about? Love and loss.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people lost people that they loved. And, you know, so there's a lot of, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot more. Yeah. There really is. And it really, it's good in one way. And, you know, it just exploding. And, you know, that means you got to have, you know, write good songs, change the world, you know, be creative.
Absolutely.
You know, and we mention this often. It's like the great thing about the technology is that everyone can release their music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bad thing
is that everyone
technology is everyone can release their music.
Right. Right.
You know, and I don't, you know, I'm not slamming anyone who writes a song. You know, it's not easy to write a song. Just try writing one good song, everyone out there, and it's harder than you think.
Yeah.
And you know, so I'm not poo-pooing anyone, but a lot of stuff comes out now that isn't quite cooked enough.
Yeah. There needs to be some good seasoning. And I think the industry had at first it had good seasoning to it, but then we forgot the meaning behind it. You know,
right.
People wanted fancy stuff without the meaning behind it. Now it's kind of come full circle and we got to figure that out again.
Yeah, and I'm liking the fact that some people are choosing to record analog.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's badass to me because, you know, leave the mistakes in. That's what makes things great.
Yeah. And that song you played right back where I've been, and the next project we put out, and is all that was done one take, the whole band, vocals and everything, just one take there.
Just did it live in the room.
Yeah, I wanted to capture it raw because that's, you know, and I think there's a lot more of that. There's a lot more raw rock and roll bands have something to say. You know,
that's the best way to record anyway, because that's the way you're really going to get the essence. Recording sometimes gets in the way of the song.
It does, you know. There's time for good produced music. You know, everybody loves good, solid produced, you know, epic, whatever. You know, but there's still, everybody still loves that live rock and roll that's just in your face, mistakes and all, you know, scratches.
Absolutely. Yeah, Van Halen 1 tape, you know, recorded live 7 days.
Yeah. And people, that has a different kind of energy, you know.
Yeah, because you can
certain kind of energy to it.
You feel the hairs on your neck, you know.
Yeah.
A little bit more the most.
That's what my band's all about for sure. Is playing.
Oh, dude, I was playing that song. I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, this is the kind of band for me. So, you know, and it was cool enough for you to come on, man. Totally. And so,
I appreciate you having.
What's going on? Are those all the records you recorded on in that on the 45s behind you?
No, that's a stack of 45s that.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, had to do something with.
Yeah.
And I got a couple of acoustic guitars hanging on the wall, and
awesome.
It's been a while, but I used to do a lot of lessons out here, And
Okay.
those are, I've had mostly little kids, and I would have them sign my guitar, sign the guitars on the wall. So there's a bunch of little
yeah,
kids'
that's totally
signatures
cool.
on the guitar there.
Nice.
Now, did they have to get it to a certain point in order to sign it? So it was like or is it just if you came in, you took a lesson, you got to
Yeah,
sign?
if they were kind of sticking with it for a couple weeks, I was like, okay, hey, get your, and I would usually encourage them a little bit to
Right.
get the fire
Right.
going a little bit.
Yeah, 'cause
Right.
then they're like, cool, I want to get on that guitar. Then it probably kept a lot of kids coming because people would go like, hey, man, you playing?
Yeah, I had some really,
I
had some
saw
really
your
cute.
signature at Jason's house, man. Why is your signature?
That's right. Yeah. 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 No, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, what age did you start playing, man?
Ever since I can remember,
Yeah.
my dad always had acoustic guitars around and thousands of records and always listened to music. So he played a little bit. And so I just always wanted to play and always was kind of banging on a guitar. Early
Yeah.
about 7th grade, I was probably like 13, maybe is when I really got like maybe say a fully working guitar or something that had started learning. And basically I did another interview another place, and literally the first song I learned when I got that guitar was Smoke on the Water. I got the vinyl out and put the needle down.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I think it was number 2 for me. Iron Man was the first one for me, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It seems like those are the 2 tunes that everybody starts with, right?
That was Smoke on the Water and Iron Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine was Smoke on the Water. Yeah.
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 For sure.
So
For
who was the first like band that you like really were digging? I mean, when you were starting to play, that really kind of got you going.
I would have to say Hendrix. Like
Hendrix, yeah.
Just my dad would always listen to music, but Deep Purple was one, and but he would always listen to music. But I think the first one that I started going through his albums and stuff, and I came across Hendrix, I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah. So I thought I knew most of the tidbits of information and all the little things around Smoke on the Water. And then I learned one about a month and a half ago, and it blew my mind. And it came out of Richie Blackmore's mouth in an interview. You know where he got that dun, 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 from?
Where?
All he did was reverse this. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, no kidding.
He goes, I owe Beethoven a lot of fucking money. But that's why it resonated. That was the spooky magic in it. It was like if he hadn't have said it, no one would have figured it out.
No, that's crazy. Sometimes that's it. That's it. That's great.
It's like when people walk up to you, hey, what's your song about? Whatever it means to you.
Yeah.
What you tell me?
Yeah, exactly. You know, once you play the song, it's not yours anymore. It's out there.
Yeah.
You know, but speaking of out there and not being able to play anymore.
Yeah, the Oz, man.
Ozzy Osbourne is retiring from touring life. Yeah, he's messed up. There's no way he can't travel.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw him in I don't know what football game or whatever, but he was literally in a metal armature and seatbelted in, and he had a coat over him so he wouldn't fall.
I mean,
you know,
he
doesn't owe us anything.
No.
I just think he doesn't ever want to quit.
Right, exactly. He was so happy to be there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at least he got to come back and do a couple of things. But
you know, it's like I think he's quitting just because he physically can't anymore.
It's too hard to travel.
Yeah.
He's too messed up.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he had pins in his neck, and when he fell, they bent, and they couldn't unbend them until surgery. So imagine that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's gotta be painful.
Just amazing. Oh, you see that?
Is that a creative talking spy balloon?
Yeah, we're kind of
Hey, no PR is bad PR. You know what they say.
I'm gonna
You
send
know.
out a bunch of JWB white balloons.
Absolutely. People be like, what the hell? Yeah, we could probably make a bunch of money doing that right now.
I have the pig on
Yeah, weather balloons are us. Hello.
here.
Uh-huh. So one of the people that that's following the Facebook page, Paul, he's also a good buddy of mine since 7th grade. He goes, "Oh, you might want to ask him about coffee."
Oh, there you go. Yeah, look at that. Rock and roll coffee. That's some
Right
good
on.
stuff there.
And where do people go get that?
Well, there's a few stores here locally, which I'm growing, going to expand that hopefully. But JasonWellsMusic.com. You can go there, go to the store. There's actually a coffee page on there.
Nice.
Right now, you can get it on there. There's probably some other places that I'm forgetting, but
you can get it through your website.
you can get it through my website right now. And part of the proceeds, I'm giving back to like sponsor kids for lessons or help with
cool.
different organizations to get instruments and things like that.
Yeah.
So there's an organization another town up here that I helped them get like a music room. They had like, guitars and amps and like records and a record player and like shelf with some music books and all kinds of stuff.
Cool.
Well, that's cool, man. Yeah, if you never need anything edited or anything that we can do, just ask.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, just
it's important that kids play.
Yeah.
And I'm
So
trying
important.
to, I'm trying to connect the two between like, I don't know, famous rock star this or you're doing this and then and people trying because it's like there's been a disconnect, and it just be about music and helping each other. And so I'm really trying to like bridge that, and this is one way that I can try to give back and keep kids motivated with it and stuff. So
Yeah.
Right.
so
Okay,
that's coffee.
So you started playing early on. So like it was family getting together and like, jamming on the porch and shit like that.
Oh yeah, it was a typical seriously. Okay, so like I was seriously like the typical. I got a guitar for Christmas, or I wanted to be in a rock band so bad. That's all I ever wanted to do. I set my bedroom, learned how to play guitar, and I've never claimed to be the best guitarist, but I had a bunch of garage bands and this and that. Nothing ever worked out. You know how it goes.
Yeah.
And so I kept music going, and I did some shows here and there as time went on, but it wasn't until I was like 33 years old in 2008 when the housing market hit. I got laid off, and I was like, I'm gonna go start a music career. I don't have anything else.
Yeah.
So I did it, and I didn't look back, and I've been doing it ever since, and it keeps every year. So I'm thankful and grateful. And now I have, Jimmy's amps and all this stuff going on, and I'm just very grateful for that. So.
Yeah, after my brother passed, I just, I'm like, I was starting to get into it again. I had been, but I'm like, you know what? I'm just putting all my energy into that. It's not like I haven't been on big shit. I've worked on big shit, ton of big shit, whatever. Who cares? Yeah. But I know that's what I want to do because I love what I do, and I did it for so long. It's undeniable, and I don't give a shit. Like some people are like, oh, da 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 da. I'm like, am I hurting you? Am I literally hurting you sitting at my desk writing a book? How am I hurting you? Show me on the dial.
Yeah. Oh, looking back now. Yeah, I know. Looking back, I was like, it was so tough. And everybody was like, oh, you can't make a living playing music. Oh, you can't make a living playing. Oh, you can't. Like, get out of my way.
Yeah. Maybe you can.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I know what you mean.
Yeah, and there's the four most important words. You could have anyone love you, whatever. But the four most important words to any creative person is "I believe in you."
Yeah, that was
If
just
you
what I
have
was thinking.
one person believing you other than yourself and your, grandeur,
Yeah,
I'm
right.
talking about myself, so
Yeah,
one person to believe in you is a huge thing. And if it
yes.
just happens
Yeah,
to be the one that you're sleeping with, even better. I mean, that should supposedly be how it should be,
Right.
But
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
wife's so cool that he got to name his son Gibson, Jason.
Oh, that's good.
I mean, come on, like
That'd be fucking-
cool wife of the century award. Like literally Hall of Fame shit right there.
Nice.
She is one of the coolest wives that you could ever ask for. I'll tell you. It's funny because it started off. A friend of ours came just walking by. I was like, she was pregnant, and he's like, "Oh, you ought to name him Gibson." And of course, I played guitar, and everybody had jokes like that. But when he said that, it just kind of was like, "Well, that's kind of cute." And then like, about 2 days later, she goes, Gibson is kind of cute. I was like, deal.
Yeah, I wanted to name Seth Stevie Ray, but
Yeah, she wouldn't
Right.
go for it.
I'm like, well, how about David Ray or David? No, you can't
How
do
about
David
Eddie
Roth.
Van Custish?
Yeah, right. But yeah, and
so,
it's totally cool. And
music has been a part of my life for most of my life, and it started with my dad, and wanted to keep it going, and
right.
Yeah.
Because of our love for music, that's how me and Jason are friends. We were college roommates back in the day, and we both went for he wound up doing audio engineering. I wound up, even though it was in audio as well, I wound up on the television and film side.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
Jason was a big audio guy, but and
Did that little Whitney Houston thing back in the early 90s.
yeah, that little one, I'll always love you.
That minor hit she had.
Yeah,
there you go.
But it's cool because we saw and out of 100 people that were like close in our little group, 3 or 4 people work.
Yeah.
3 or 4 people are interested. So it was cool to see, like I moved down there with $500 in my pocket. I didn't,
Yeah, you just go.
you
Figure
just
it out.
Yeah. Well,
that's why I tell young people, man. I'm like, oh, I'm thinking about going to Colorado. I'm like, go. What do you go?
Yeah.
Figure it out when you get there.
Yeah, you're gonna figure it out if you want to,
Yeah.
And there's plenty of chances to give up on things. You can do it here, or you could do on that.
You don't go, you don't know, right?
Exactly. So it's really cool to see how much people will, a lot of people just think I'm stupid, but even though I'm not, but they have no, because a lot of people are like, oh, you're writing about, how much did they pay you? Well, I have my own publishing company and I write it myself, so I don't get paid until after the book's done.
Yeah.
And they don't understand, they can't process what you're doing.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You have to do stuff without getting paid. Yeah, that's called art.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever. Whether it be, drawing or,
and
whatever
you
you're
just hope
doing.
it pays off after you get it all done.
Yeah. And everyone always wants the creative shit for nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, it's just a drawing. Or hey, it's just the song.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. We were just talking about, my wife does photography, and
oh, cool.
The same thing. It's the same thing like that. Photography,
Mm-hmm.
But there's it's how you present things as well, and there's all kinds of aspects. But yeah, and I think people are appreciating the creative side of life altogether, whether it be writing book, podcast, photography, bands, music, songwriting. I mean, I really do believe that that's a change of heart that's going on in our.
I'm hoping so. I mean, I want to agree with you for sure. And I think people are a little bit more open to it because, let's face, because when the lockdown first started and people were like, oh, like I went on this thing about people and companies and corporations, they don't want to pay the people who create the things. It's like, you know, and they're like, oh, and they're shit talking. I'm like, no, you have to understand everything that you're going to be doing for the next year, whatever it is going to be because someone like me or Jason or you, Jason, someone sat down, they wrote something. They created a piece of art so you could not be freaking out.
Yeah.
Because of whatever they're telling you on the TV screen.
Yeah. Right.
You know, we're better than psychologists. We give people a, you know,
and that's why I press first. I think that's why they shut us down. Oh, whatever. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Can't.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. They need They need the creative people. You know, society is really built on that, not, you know, it's ideas and creativity. It's not just music, but it creates inventions and all kinds of things.
Sure.
Yeah, like I always say, I'm like, why are people cutting the art programs and the music programs? No one invented the light bulb or computer who plays on the team, on the football team. Football teams don't create new, you know, they don't, it's not innovative. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You need people who think differently in order to create something that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You know, like most of the things on the news.
I think people are appreciating the people that have something to say and have a message or have a good song and, you know, or have a good show, whatever it is, you know, have a good product of creativity. I think people are really appreciating it now because the conversations that we were having before with each other, you know, we never really got to the root of meeting and connecting with people. You know, it was just so busy stuff.
Yeah.
And like now the conversations are more, you know, really connected in human connections, you know, feelings. They're just, you know, out there.
Yeah, like you know, I drive people to surgery who are usually within 72 hours if they don't get this done, you know, 72 hours in death. You know, so we're talking a lot, and you were always joking around, you know, people driving like maniacs. Everyone's in a rush to go where? You're floating on a rock in space. Where are you going?
Yeah.
You know, you know, are you gonna, you know, especially that guy who always lays on the horn behind you just to get to the red light a half second earlier? You know?
Oh, I know. Oh,
it's
I know.
amazing. Take your time. You know.
Yeah. And that's, you know, it's hard to do. It's hard to do because, you know, we were always pushed to be like this. We'll just sit back and be the creative, or, you know, get the things done, get the creative stuff done, or and enhance that in our life. So many of those things we wouldn't even need really. You know?
Yeah.
But and I think that's like I said, I feel like that's coming back, and I know the crowds are responding a lot. I don't know what the word is, but fuller, I guess, you know, now.
You can feel a different energy in the room then, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, people have hope and optimism. It's not all dour and you know, mass hypnosis kind of
right. They really took thought about what's important and things, and on a like a big scale, I feel like. So
like if everyone said, like if the news said, oh, everyone has one day to live, do you think I'd be bummed out? No, I'd be like, tally ho, motherfucker.
Yeah, let's do something.
You know, get behind the kid. Let's play some, you know. So it's all perspective.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Jason, let's talk about gear for a quick minute.
Yeah.
Tell us about what your weapons of choice are.
Yeah, sweet. So I got into I always used to love the hollow bodies, and then I had a gift given to me, which was a white SG. And it was a donation. It was a gift to me because I did a benefit, and we raised a lot of money. And and so and it has on the back where it has a plate. It has an inscribed, pretty cool inscription back there about in memory of all that. So that meant a lot. So I would get that out every once in a while. So long story short, every time I get that white SG out, I loved playing it. Obviously, it was great, and the crowd really loved it. It responded differently or something, that a little bit.
Yeah.
So I played more often, and I really got used to it. And then, so I was like, I need a cherry red SG. I really need a cherry red one because now I'm just playing SG. So I took a bunch of stuff to the local guitar store, and I had all kinds of stuff. I was like, hey, I'm trading this all in and just see what you do. And so I'm looking around. I was like, I'm good friends with the guy. And I'm like, yeah, I really need a red cherry SG. And he goes, hold on. And he goes in the back room and he comes out.
Nice.
And he's like, how about this one?
Nice.
And I was like, oh man. And he goes, so we had some words, and then I left, and that night he came to the open jam, and he was carrying this guitar, and he goes, here you go, man, it's yours. He goes, all that stuff that you brought in, he goes, we'll just call it even. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Now, my first guitar was just like that, except it was a J.C. Penney version or Sears or whatever it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that thing weighed more than me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The thing was
the thing, J.C. Penney version was like 50 pounds or something, but that's sweet.
I don't know if you can see the scars on it there. It's got a few scars right here.
Yep.
We had a big barn show, and I was playing slide with the barn pole, and I got a little too carried away, scratched up.
Oh,
that's a cool little.
I got a special with the P90s in it.
Got some rock and roll stories in it.
Look at see Jason's guitar.
He went black. Here, hold on.
Oh, Jason, just hold the body up.
His screen went black.
Oh.
Hold on a second here. You see it now?
No, he's still blacked out.
Huh. Well, he's holding up. Jason, tell him what guitar you're holding up.
Yeah, it's an SG special. I got the P90s,
Oh man.
It's the faded carry.
I wish I could see it. Seriously, that's sweet. Yeah, I love that. Sounds sweet though. I love P90s.
Oh man, they're killer. Yeah, they really bite.
Yeah. Got a sweet tone. Crunch to it.
So, instruments, oh,
there you are. Now you're back.
Oh, where's Jason, show me the guitar.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So.
Oh sweet.
Now, what kind of finish is on there, Jason? Is that a matte finish?
Yeah, it's the faded cherry finish.
Oh,
so it's kind of it's not as glossy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's sharp. I like.
Yeah, it's a 2011. Yeah,
I think that's a 2010. So it's not old or anything, but got it. Then it's got some souped up pickups in it. The same guitar store, they put some souped up pickups in it, and
nice.
I'm not fancy all the names.
Right. Yeah. So people who don't play music may not be aware of, like, if you're looking for something, equipment or guitar, maybe a certain amp, if you can get one with a good story attached to it, it adds to the mystique of being a musician. So you've got an interesting story there about those about that amp behind you.
Oh yeah. Can you see the amps? I don't know if you can, but
oh yeah.
I forgot Jimmy Thackeray's Category 5 amplifiers. I got two of them, Typhoon Joe and Andrew. And
seeing everything's named.
It's named after. The story is that Jimmy Thackeray named Typhoon Joe after his dad, who was stationed in the Pacific.
Oh, wow.
Joe came from, and that's this one over here. I don't know if you can see it or not, but yeah, it's they're category 5. They're really like super hot rod amplifiers, and they came right off they were his personally. Like, you can go look up YouTube videos and see him playing at festivals and stuff, and you'll see those 2 amps, and they're right here. So he's passing them on to me to take out and play and carry them on and give them a new life. And it's kind of a long story. There's a lot of things I didn't realize that was happening, but like, I met George Shepard, who played drums for him, and George Shepard played with Dizzy Gillespie, and like, he goes way back. He's played with everyone, and it's a long story. So the last 15 years he played with Jimmy Thackeray and the Drivers, and so when he wasn't on the road with Jimmy Thackeray, that's when I got to meet him. We became friends, and he was feeling me out for like 3 years as I was like out touring around, going. And finally he was like, "Hey, if you ever need a fill in or anything, let me know." And he goes, "Or if you ever need a drummer," and I was like, "Well, I would love to have you, but I said I got a full-time guy," and he kind of counts on me, for the gigs. And he's like, "Oh yeah." So it was about another year or so. I was like, "Okay, I need a guy," and so then he became my drummer, and so
nice.
He's been playing with me now for quite a while, and we're having a blast. And he's got me turned on to Jimmy Thackeray and got me the amps, and I got a Robo guitar endorsement, which is really
now.
cool.
Now I know why you laughed when I mentioned Dizzy Gillespie earlier.
Yeah.
On our phone conversation, you just kind of chuckled and like, okay, yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome.
George used to play with him. Yeah.
Just the stories. Oh yeah, for sure, man.
It's like Dizzy Gillespie was like, they never really talked all that stuff they did. They never really talked like music and notes and this. He was like, he would just go, "Okay, it goes like this. Okay, go." And that was it. Okay, go.
Yeah, like I was at an open mic one night over here. There's a blues bar right around the corner from my house, and Herman Hines walks in, and so he's like 92. He started his blues career when he retired from the prison system as a guard.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Like 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So he sits down, with his cane. He turns around to the guys. He's like, "Okay, here's what you're gonna do. Dun, dun, dun. We're gonna play it in this key. Here you go. Da da da. One note to this guy. Let's go."
Yeah.
And I'm like, I learned more in that 3 minutes of watching him orchestrate and teach people. Okay, here's what we're gonna play.
Yeah.
Reminded me a lot of like just real seasoned studio guys.
Yeah.
And that's why sometimes you need a producer in the house. Not always, but.
I heard one more funny story about, if I can tell this.
Absolutely.
They were playing at the White House, I believe, for some center there or some part of the
Kennedy Center, probably, right? Yeah.
And they went around the corner and they were burning one. And he was like, "Hey, this is the White House, man." And he goes, "I'm the Diz."
Yeah, exactly.
And they walk around the corner and the Secret Service goes, "You the Diz."
Right? Yeah, and Willie Nelson did it too. Of course he's going. Like, if I went there, I would have to, just of course, But just the fact that they, let Dizzy in at that time.
Yeah.
All
that
stupid shit,
So these amps all connected to that. I've learned a lot through that. And these man. Anyway, I got all kinds of stories. But
tell them, man. We got
about a 3-legged dog story.
Is a dog?
We did the very next day. Jimmy Thackeray and his wife called us because they heard about it, and he's retired now, and he called us and was like, saying, "Hey, you guys, that was great. You guys made history now and all this stuff." that was pretty cool. But we did a festival, a blues festival in Bean Blossom, which is where like Earl Scruggs, Flats and Scruggs and all that, like Bill Monroe. It's like goes way back, and this is a historic place around here. Right. And so we got the last band for Saturday night, and of course it's like the secondary stage or the Hippie Hill stage or whatever they call it, but it's like the last band of Saturday night, so everybody's partying. And we ended up playing like an extra hour and a half. We played to like 12:45.
That's awesome. Everyone's raging at that time.
Oh man, and they just lost it. Everybody was going crazy, man, and no one left. Everybody was staying. I think they had to pay a fine. They told us like, hey, we got to cut it off at 11. I'm like, what? Like that wasn't anywhere. You just now telling me this? You know, I just played it cool. So we get up there, and the lady that has the cabin right next to the stage, they pulled up, and she looked at him. She was like no, and they drove off. So they paid the fine and let us play till whatever. But that day we were talking to that lady, and she was in the Scruggs cabin there, and George Shepard I was talking about played on hee haw, and he was supposed to do a train beat. And wrong beat because he was young and inexperienced. And they go, I think the train has derailed. And, so that's when he learned about the three-legged dog, and that's the train beat that they call it the three-legged dog. So they were telling that story to this lady, and at the cabin there, and she remembered that happening for one, and then that very next morning, our buddy out in the East Coast sent us a picture of a three-legged dog, and said that it walked all the way across the parking lot, and walked its owner all the way over right to their car, and it stopped. And it was like the owner's like, it's never done anything like this, but it wanted to come over here. So they took a picture of this three-legged dog and sent it to us, and I got it. Oh, it was the craziest thing. So,
I tried this one time. I saw this dog, and I wanted to adopt the dog, but they wouldn't let pets. They let you have jag-off cats, but no dog. I'm like, and I'm begging my landlord. I'm like, come on, man, the dog's got 3 legs. You know, I named it Tripod. You know, it's a beautiful dog. It was a beautiful dog. You know what I mean? I'm like, come on, man. You know. They wouldn't let me have. I was so bummed out. But yeah, a friend of mine also had a 3-legged dog Rottweiler named Princess, and you'd never know it was missing a leg. Never know. You know, just full of energy and stuff.
Wait, you cut out there for a second.
Yeah, it's probably lagging due to the Chinese spy balloons going.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's interfering. It's interfering with it. You know.
Oh, creativity talking.
Right.
Very good.
But oh my goodness. Okay, so earlier.
Sorry, I guys cut out there for a minute.
Oh, no worries, man. It'll happen. So we're talking about like the what it is being in a band right now versus being a musician versus playing covers or originals. You have the old holdbacks. You're like, I'm only playing originals. Well, if you're a rock or a metal guy, good luck.
Yeah.
If you're a blues guy, you get away with it because half of it you're playing standards. So maybe the rock crowd should start calling it standards instead of cover songs.
Right.
Yeah.
And then move on because, like half the people who go to a blues bar who've never been to one before, they couldn't tell you the difference between a standard and your own.
And an original, right? Yeah.
They're just having fun.
Yeah.
They're just having fun, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of that stuff, all the things you mentioned, and, there's so many divisions that we divide things up into, or something. Yeah,
right.
That's what I feel like. And if people just, whatever it is, like, it's like you could be in an original. You go out and play original tunes, and if you wanted to play somebody else's tune, play somebody else's tune too.
Right.
If you want to be in a band that just plays original or somebody else's, go do that. But
Yeah,
then we want to make it like, oh, well, that's a this and that's a that and that's a this.
Right.
We do that a lot, and I think that affects the music. That affects the good part of of being a musician.
Yeah.
Like where, and also I think people really have to define why they're a musician, what they're going to do with it. If I see a lot of people who they daydream and they have good feelings and intentions, and they have rock star dreams, but they end up just playing in a cover band. It's like, okay, there's three, it's got to connect. It's got to, you know what I mean?
Right.
So,
and a lot of times too,
it's
like, those guys may only have 3 or 4 shows that they could play a year doing originals because no one wants, the crowds want, okay, in the Chicago area, the band situation is, okay, play cover songs, boom, you're a great cover band. You can make up there's certain cover band, the top 2 make $5,000 to $9,000 a night.
Yeah.
5,000 and 9,000 a night, and they're booked 5 times, 6 times a week.
Yeah.
Now what's interesting is you have cover bands singing to track to save their voice. So now you have cover bands doing all this production work.
Yeah.
And
if you want,
that's cheating to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. If you want to do that, like people do that and I think everything has a phase and it's a fad. There's a lot of phases and there's a lot of fads, but
right.
And there's a lot of new technology that creates, then every band has the new. I remember when this came out, when Bluetooth came out, and then when in-ears came out, and all this stuff, and it's like, okay, but there's what's never going to go away or what's never going to fade away is just real people playing real music with real instruments.
Right.
You know what I mean? Whether it's somebody else's song or your song that you wrote, if it's good, you're gonna like it.
Yeah.
I spent many years not knowing what I was doing and learning the hard way on everything, playing cover tunes because I thought that's what everybody wanted to hear. And they did. And I would do my original tunes and I would feel bad, and I'd slowly grow out of that. So now with my band, we're a band, we play music. We show up, we play bluesy rock kind of stuff. And we just play all of my original tunes, throw in whatever covers we want just because that's part of our show.
Yeah, whatever you feel like, right?
And our goal is to win the crowd over and get them to dance with us, and we're successful. Our goal is also to put on a rock and roll show, so it's like we're not just there playing songs and hope they like it. We're there to perform a show.
And I do have to say that there's nothing sexier than women dancing to blues rock.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
I mean, go have fun, man. Shake it if you got it.
It's so easy to do,
Go have fun. And it's interesting because you're talking about, I went through this phase, went through that phase. Our generation did this thing called paying your dues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now you'll talk, like I'll talk to someone, they're 21 years old and they're like, oh, I paid my dues. Oh, really? Oh, yeah. What's been going on? Oh, I tried out for American Idol twice.
Yeah. I got an Instagram channel.
What?
Right. Yeah.
Like, have you played 345s on a Friday and then 445s on a Saturday?
Right.
Right. Yeah.
So that's training ground, ground's gone.
Well, what's kind of lost, I mean, there's a lot of, don't get me wrong, I'm not like being the old dickhead, hating on, because there's a lot of fantastic, like young guys with like great technique, but they just haven't played with anybody, they haven't been in the garage sweating, trying to, keep up with a drummer whose time's drifting and, all that. So they're just playing like, in front of the computer and everything's quantized and it's real clean, but it's not old school. It's not.
Yeah. And that's why, you know, I encourage all the videos and all the 12-year-olds and all the young bands and all the stuff on Instagram.
Love it. Yeah.
It's great, but you know, I lived in a van and with 2 other dudes and played music. You know, it's like there's a lot of things there that those people haven't done yet, and so, you know, and then everybody's got to build their own journey, you know, and that was mine, you know, and if yours is all Instagram videos, then, you know, I encourage people to get out and play, you know, right.
And I'm not like hating on them, you know, saying that they're bad.
Oh, no. They need the stage time.
Yeah, but I wish they would do just that. Jump in a van with your buddies and, man, go out there and just travel around, you know, and just sweat.
And then, you know, Jason mentioned that he doesn't want to sound like an old man. That's just because he flushed his balls down the toilet the other day, and he's still getting over it, you know. But yeah, I mean, you know, people want everything now. No, man.
Yeah,
like, go play in some bar with 3 people and play like you're playing for 10,000.
Yep. Get heckled, get people tell you suck, all of it.
Yeah, okay.
And you got to do that. You got to do that.
Right.
And, you know, and if you do that, I'm a firm believer that if you really do that, you're gonna, first of all, you're gonna get better. You're gonna learn what you need to. You're gonna learn what you need to learn. You're gonna start moving where the direction you need to move. You're gonna get to where you need to be, and whether you're whatever your show is, if it's originals or covers, and especially if you got originals, you know, you just got to keep putting it out there, and that's what a lot of people don't want to do anymore, because I think people have a false sense of I don't know. There's a lot of false senses.
False sense of excellence. There's a lot of mediocrity going on, and what's interesting is, you know, everyone's afraid to fail.
Yeah,
like they have anxiety. Okay,
you gotta fail, man.
If you don't fail,
let Uncle V tell you something. In order to succeed, the only way to succeed is through failure.
Yeah, or else what are you doing? You're just sitting in the hot tub.
Figuring it out.
Yeah,
right.
If you're not failing, you're just
right. And if you know you have a shitty gig, you got paid, you did the thing. Next, don't worry about it. Shake it off.
Or you play the gigs where you don't get paid.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know,
the exposure.
Because failure is that's people have the wrong definition of, or the wrong like what we're assuming. We just defined failure, but we didn't, because you like
what society
learning and growing.
What society would define failure as.
Yeah.
What creatives define failure as. They don't define it that way.
Right. Because
they're like, oh, okay, I learned
fail when you quit, right?
Yeah, I learned to play. Okay, if we're doing a gig and the wind's blowing west, I have to do this. I have to wear a scarf. If this, if this, that, and the other is going on, if the air conditioning's blowing, okay, I'm going to get a cold.
Yeah.
Or, it's just certain. It's not failure, it's just learning.
Yeah, and speaking of that and learning, I did this one gig and we played. I've been here before, and I took a new bass player. So the first night he was on the hi-hat side of the drummer. Of course, now the sun was beating down, and it just scorched him. So the next night he was like, "Hey, we show up at this place," and I knew this was going to happen. So we show up to this place. The sun's over here on this side. So he goes, "Hey, you mind if I switch? Because last night, man, I got scorched." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, man. That's cool. So I knew by the time we set up, the sun's over here. By the time we play, the sun's over here. The way the shade works, like, yeah, sure, go ahead.
And he's just like, oh,
yeah.
Totally. Little things that no one else would think about unless you're there.
Right.
Yeah.
You
learn a lot. You learn a lot when you're on the road.
Right. And there's a lot of things that dictate how a show goes.
Yeah.
Things like that is someone is, so-and-so threw his back out. What's his name's got the shits. I mean, it's real stuff, so you gotta, everything's different,
Oh yeah. You gotta, there's so many aspects to being a musician. You were first asked about being a musician or being in a band and covers and originals and stuff. And it's like, there's so many different aspects. You know, you could be an opera singer if you were good enough, or you could be in that band, that kind of band, if you know, whatever. There's so many aspects. But if you wanted to be in a band and a songwriter and have something to say, then you know that's kind of, I guess that's the path I chose. So even when I was doing covers, it was always to get here, to get to where, you know, people doing my songs and you know, and I feel like if a band really has to focus on building their family, you know, their fans and their network, and if you can do that, that's fame and fortune right there. If you can do that with your music, if you got 10 people, hey, you know, you got 100 or 1,000 or 10,000.
You know, that's how, you know, that's how I tell Jason all the time, you know. So we've been doing this. This is our second year doing this podcast. And it started out as a men's mental health thing, comedy based, you know, talk about music and entertainment, blah, blah, blah.
And pretty much just us two old bastards just hanging out with each other, you know, 900 miles.
Or other people from school. And we've had some other guests and stuff on there. But, you know,
yeah, that's sweet.
I totally forgot what I was going to say.
No, you were talking about
building
growing things, you know, waiting.
Oh, yeah. So, you know, it's like, you know, first year, okay, our 3 closest buddies showed up every week.
Yeah.
Just like first year in a band. And then I started relating it to Jason like a band. You know, it's like, okay, I'm like, now we're packing dive bars.
Yeah.
Which is great. You know, nothing better than a dive bar packed, you know, because if you've been in one, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And of course, you've probably played many in your years coming up.
Yeah.
So now, like, okay, we can comfortably fill the bar.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
But now we're filling up the House of Blues.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Like, so now let's replace the tiny bar with the House of Blues numbers every week. And then eventually we'll fill a larger theater.
Yeah.
So that's how we're measuring it. So
slow growth.
And that's really if you can do that on your own or with your product or with your creativity, you're winning.
Yeah, I mean, and people always go, "Oh, you making money?" And I'm like, "Hey, how about are we having fun?"
Yeah.
So far that we know, we've saved 3 guys from taking action to end their life.
Yeah.
Even for one day.
That's awesome.
Better than any money.
Yeah.
That could possibly
be
made.
Real. That's real right there. That's real.
Right. Right. You know, and that's what art should do in any form.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we're only 900 subscribers away from, you know, monetization anyway. So, you know,
now we're getting to be about 850, I think. But
850, okay, cool. Hey, we're growing.
But what's really cool is like we've been, you know, what we're seeing is we're working with a lot of bands that don't have 10 kajillion, 1,000 billion followers.
Right.
Oh, you got 500 solid hardcore guys.
Yeah.
Sweet. Cool. You got 50. And your shit's good,
right?
Right on. You know,
that's how it. I mean, that's how it all works, really. You know,
I like the community of it. You know, I mean, like, you know, like if we can help an artist and the artist in turn helps us, you know, like everybody's people or like, you know,
right.
I mean, that's how you build stuff. You
know?
We're
about being positive. We're not about shit talking. We're not going to cover anyone that we don't like.
Right. Yeah.
Like if you move us, we're like, fuck yeah. Everyone needs to know about this that knows about us.
Yeah. It's like if our people find out about a new band or a new artist, great. And then if that artist's fans find out about a new pod and show here, then, you know, everybody wins. So.
I got all kinds of fans that listen to podcasts all day at work.
Yeah. So we started doing tunage a couple months ago, you know, doing reaction videos to songs that may have been out a while, but we didn't know about them because we're 50 and 53. You know, it's going on, man. So like, oh, cool, check this out.
Yeah.
So now all the bands, literally except Stevie Wonder, you know, he didn't comment, but
he might. He still
but every other band is either coming on as a guest or in direct communication. Like that's totally awesome. Badass. We're not there to shoot on anybody, man, you know. And there's no marketing budget for anyone. for anybody.
Well,
Yeah.
but that's what the world needs. Just real honest stuff that people can identify with and latch on to, and relate with, and
just regular people trying to do their thing, man.
And just because you can sell 30 million albums doesn't mean you're talented.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
The best
to
ain't
be
always
said there.
rising to the top. Let's put it that way.
That's right.
I've seen the best bands that no one's ever heard of and never will,
and they kill
on the third left from nowhere.
Yeah. Right.
And just
and you wonder
mythical experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
And they just don't get it.
Yeah. But I just there's a lot of good music out there, and I think that there's so much good out there,
and it's getting me excited because I am finding all this great music. I thought, I'm like, oh man, rock is dead. I was like,
no, there's so many talented bands getting started, forming, and young kids doing stuff. And what I'm loving is, it's some groovy stuff. You could tell they were listening to some of the right stuff,
right. It's funny, like whose parents those kids are coming from. It's all the rocker dudes and chicks. Zeppelin, Sabbath.
That's cool.
Okay. Now you've got Motorhead. Okay, here's a Olivia Newton-John with I Honestly Love You. Seriously, listen.
Yeah, Olivia was a badass.
Little, flavorings.
Yeah.
There's so much to music.
One of my favorite artists in the last probably year or so is like, virtually unheard of except for her social media followers, as far as I know. This girl named Sierra Eagleson. And she's kind of a singer-songwriter, but just great. Killer voice, killer guitar player. And she does a lot of cover stuff on like YouTube or, and the other social stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
It kills me because like she should be a household name. She's like next level. Even the production, her and her brother, they do the stuff themselves. The production is fantastic. And I'm like,
it's real interesting because I've been working with and talking privately with some of the artists that we have on here. And so we're like, okay, how can anyone that I know or used to know benefit you? How can we get, raise your profile, this, that, and the other? And it's like, okay, my goal for this year as a young band is 3 high profile gigs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Back in our day, we could get 3 gigs in a week. But not, it's just a different thing.
Different time. Yeah.
Totally different. And so we were talking earlier, I said, there's a lot of local bands that everyone knows, everyone likes, and then everyone loves. So, we're talking about how things have changed, how it's more expensive. We've lost crew guys. We've lost all this stuff on the road. Our band's going to become regional. Go back to the 70s with Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band. Down south, he was the guy. Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana. Bob Seger. You know what I mean? So are we going to go back to that model just because for traveling for the bands, because they're not paying necessarily for a 10, you couldn't Chicago right now. If it started right now, the band Chicago could not go out and play.
Oh yeah.
Not with that many members. No way.
Right.
No way.
Right. I think it's kind of that mentality, like you said. Excuse me. But we have the internet as well now, where they didn't have that then.
Right.
So there's a lot of different aspects as well. So staying regional, I don't think has to be the thing. I think that the local. Here's what I think is like along those lines, but with the internet. So what that means is like, I think the local markets, the local things, there's going to be different forms of it, but it's going to be really strong. And it's going to take a lot for a band to go into that next local market and
to break through into that, to cross over.
But you can, and especially if with the internet, you've got know enough people, and because kind of the way I'm going about it now is I'm hitting the staples, and the the known events, but also I'm calling my friends, you know, the people that open campground 2020, you know, that's going to do an event this year. I just need them to do one event to hire me, and then the next one to hire me as well for their one event. And
right.
so,
So maybe it's like, okay, so let's say there's this hierarchy, you know, there's levels of bands. You know who the, you know, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 guys are in any city. You just, from playing and the time they've been around, what they draw, maybe match whoever or go up one if you can.
Yeah.
To whoever that is in the next market and play all your gigs together for 6 months.
Yeah.
So that way you're cross-pollinating each area and building both your audiences, you know.
Yeah.
It really has come to that personal connection in a time when nothing's personal.
Yeah. And but people need that though. And it's up to the musicians to do those things and get this out of their head, this ego thing, this fame and fortune thing out of our heads.
Right.
I mean, in the end of the day, if you want fame and fortune, you got to sell your soul to the devil. So go ahead and do that if that's what you want. But if that's not what you want, you want to play music and build something sustainable, then let's, you know, let's do it just with genuine music, you know. And I think there's a lots of, like, look back when like before Elvis and Johnny Cash and all them got famous. What were they doing? They were going around and they created a scene in a way.
Yeah.
They put together the shows in these halls and these whatever, and people came,
Yeah.
you know, to that because it was the one thing going on in the local area. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. They broke it through, went to the next, but they had to create something that was going on.
Right.
You know?
And bands, young bands, do not pay to play.
No.
Yeah. Oh man.
We did that shit in the 80s.
It's still going on. It's worse.
Oh, is it really?
Like this rock star mentality just come back and bites them in the ass. It's like, what? Don't pay to don't do that.
Oh, for sure. And you know what's great is you know, you talk to another creative person and there's this shorthand. Hey man, what's going on? Oh, not much. How you doing? You know.
Yeah.
Making any money? Paying my bills.
Yeah.
Right on. As long as you're, you know, as long as you can do that, you're like in the top 50%.
That's bills paid.
Yeah, if you're paying your bills, right on.
Yeah.
I didn't ask you if you're fucking eating.
Yeah.
You know what? If you're in a band, the fat girl down the street's gonna give you a sandwich. And no offense to the sandwich giving girls, no offense at all. They kept me fed.
We love sandwiches.
Oh
Absolutely.
yeah.
But you know, it's a whole different, you know, thing. And you know, like since we started doing the tunage thing and working with these bands, it, like I told you earlier, it reminds me of being in the import section of the record store in the 1980s. Yeah. Everyone was like, "Hey man, check this out, check this out, check this out. Hey, do you know about this player? Hey, do you know about this?" You know, so I've got so much shit going cramming into my brain when I thought, you know, people would send me stuff like Jason's like, "Oh, here's this song." And they're like, like, dude, I can't listen to that.
Yeah.
But you know, so we have all this stuff, just, you know, all these people have been really cool with us because we're just experiencing music, you know.
And we listen to we listen to all different stuff. I mean, I go from death metal to bluegrass to, you know, old school country. I mean, you know, classic metal.
Right. It's just hard to react to really mellow music. I like energy, you know, so anything guitar based, as long as it's not, you know, screamo metal.
Yeah.
You know, we're into, but you know, more people, I keep on telling everyone, I'm like, have you been to a blues bar? No. Why?
Oh yeah.
Like why? Like literally, it's the best time.
Yeah.
There's, you know, sadly, not every town has one though. I mean, I would love to, but you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it just depends on where you're at, you know.
Well, yeah, because where you live, you know, you what's that one? If they sing Heartbreak Hotel, it usually starts out.
You know, we have a lot of great pudding wrestling here and stuff, you know.
Oh man.
But you know, that's what's cool about it. And I tell these, you know, the younger guys, this, that, and the other. I'm like, go to a blues bar, go to an open mic, and they're like, why? I'm like, dude, as long as you know these 4 chord structures and you know the box,
Yeah.
you can sit in with anybody. Okay, we're
Yeah.
gonna do this in G or this in C or this or whatever. Da, da, da.
Yeah. And
You
you got to
know.
get up there and play, get up there in front of people and get up
Yeah.
and play with different people and experience how it
Yeah.
feels with different
Right.
people, different environments, or, different songs. Put yourself on a spot, get out there.
Right. Like I went, I hadn't performed live in like 20 years in front of people. Right. So I go up and my buddy Pat, who we do album by album with, and from the Beard Speaks podcast, he's like, oh yeah, when you get here, we're first tune we're doing is Queensryche. I'm like, dude, I haven't sang in 20 years on stage. Like, we're gonna start out with like ZZ Top.
Yeah, ease me into it.
You know what I mean? Like, we're gonna start out,
Yeah.
And I went to do 2 songs, they did 8. And I fell in love with it again. So
Yeah, right.
we're working on some stuff. But
another thing, the younger generation too, with all what you're talking about, getting out there and playing and getting the experience and all that. It's like there's got to be a connection again to where these young kids, or younger generation especially, like you can play a lot of right notes, but if they're just notes unless you put feeling or a meaning,
right.
And there's a big difference,
Oh, for sure.
The music that they're learning off of, or the music from the day back in the day, that always those notes were there because the feeling or the emotion was there first. That just was the emotion that was just the note that expressed it. And then people come along trying to learn just the notes, and they get it, and then they miss the most important part of it.
It's like, to me, if it doesn't have big bends and good vibrato, it's like, I mean, it's like,
And what's interesting, so looking for this new music, half of it, I'm like, okay, there's so many people of pick a genre, and it's so generically that genre. Now, I'm not poo-pooing them because they're putting it out, but maybe they shouldn't. You know what I mean? If it's a paint by number, try to put something into it different than
make it your own.
Yeah, and I'm not poo-pooing it. Good for them for doing it.
Just advice, youngsters.
Yeah, because we don't want you to waste time or money. Trying to placate somebody.
Yeah, and and that's one thing I've learned too on that. It's like, put out music, be creative, or put out your whatever it is. But it's like, once you create, okay, it's like it could be my favorite song that I ever written in my whole life, and I can hold on to it like a pet. But if nobody else likes it, then
what good is it?
What is it? And I could still be my pet song if I want. But
so for the most part, I worked in entertainment, and it was a lot of it was film and television side. And the best thing that anyone could tell me, hey, this is how we can make it better. I never was personally offended if I wrote it or whatever. Oh, you know what? I'll try it. And then, wow, you were so right. Like, that's
a big thing that I've learned too is, like, you can have the song or the whatever. You got to let the people decide. You put it out there, and they'll tell you whether they like it or not. And if they don't like it, then it's not for you to decide. Hit song or not.
Yeah, it's almost like fuck what you think.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. Just do it, put it out, and it'll take its course. Whatever it is.
You did it. Be happy. Live up. Be confident. Be happy.
Yep.
Now,
people's reaction are none of your business.
Right, and that's a hard one, and it's like, for real.
Right.
And that's a hard one for artists to grasp, and because until the people decide they like a song, then it's easy to grasp.
Sure. Yeah. Like, right on. You're like, woo.
Right.
Then you grab it with both hands. Yeah.
But then you think you did something, but really they still just decided that was the one that so many people resonate with.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
And that's
so
important to learn.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has named the new the people who are
Nominees.
Nominated. Yeah.
Nominees.
So the nominees are for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame: Kate Bush, Sheryl Crow, Missy Elliott, Iron Maiden, Joy Division, New Order, Cyndi Lauper. She should definitely be in. George Michael. Okay. Willie Nelson. Right on. Rage Against the Machine. Soundgarden. The Spinners. A Tribe Called Quest. The White Stripes and Warren Zevon. Now that's actually
Warren, finally.
Yeah. That's actually a good and balanced thing.
Yeah.
Some good names on there. Some options. Yeah.
So Brett from Downers Grove, a buddy of mine, he did this thing and he said it better than me, and I'm just reading it, so I'm not saying it. So here's a little thing from my buddy Brett. My yearly rant on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that I call the Music Hall of Fame. Now, that'd probably be a better name for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Because rock and roll, even though it's not specific, it's kind of specific.
Yeah.
So White Stripes and Missy Elliott made it on the ballot in their first year of eligibility. Sheryl Crow, Cyndi Lauper, George Michael, Willie Nelson, Warren Zevon, and Joy Division New Order have been eligible for years, but are making their initial ballot debut. Seems like a few are missing from the ballot, like Motorhead, Motley Crue, Scorpions. Now, we could get into the nitty-gritty and say, well, they should be in the Heavy Metal Hall of Fame, like Twisted Sister was just inducted to. Billy Idol, Annexus, Adam Ant, Boston, Dio, Styx, Foreigner, Bad Company, Ozzy, Joe Satriani, and the Monkees, to name a few. My issue is, why are these newer 90s artists getting in and older artists are forgotten about? White Stripes and Missy Elliott can wait a decade or so. Iron Maiden has been eligible for 18 years, has only been on the ballot twice, maybe 3 times. Motorhead has never been nominated. Are you kidding me? Like, seriously, Lemmy is God, you know.
Yeah. I mean, everybody knows it.
Yeah, watch both White Stripes and Elliott will be inducted this year, and Maiden and Motorhead will still be waiting. In my opinion, Maiden and Motorhead blow them both away and should have been in a long time ago. Last year, Dolly got in. So, of course, that opened up the door for the next country legend, Willie Nelson. No surprise. Next year will probably be Tennessee Ernie Ford. Great reference. Dude, the fact that he knew who Tennessee Ernie Ford was?
Yeah.
Right on, man. I thought this is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Country? Really? It's bad enough they allow rap artists into the hall, but now country. Although Johnny Cash and Hank Williams were inducted many years ago into the hall, country music has its own Hall of Fame. I've been there. And, you know, these people who run the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame don't have a clue. But like I said earlier, I refer to it as a Music Hall of Fame. It's an awesome place to visit, and I highly recommend it, but you can keep an open mind, which I can't seem to do. Rant over until next year. Yeah. Maybe they should change it to the Music Hall of Fame or the Pop Music Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Popular Music Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Yeah, it lost Rock and Roll Hall of Fame a long time ago.
You know, because what happened, you had all the 80s kids who were like in drama class take it over. So you had like Talking Heads and all those fucking, you know, you can dance if you do, you can leave your friends behind. You know, like
Men Without Hats.
You can whip it.
Yeah.
So all this bullshit got in there because that's who they listened to because they ran the organization. You know what I mean? But they're like, oh, fuck the burnouts. They made fun of us, you know. Well, no, we didn't.
Yeah. There's something going on because
I actually, you know, stuck up for you, but yeah.
One of those bands has a new single out or something. I don't know.
Like, how can Ozzy not be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Yeah. Yeah. There's got to be. There's so much back scratching and elbow rubbing.
And how you know? Okay, how big of a check did the Who get for that shit? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know why it's a pyramid? Because no one can figure out how the fuck you get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We have no idea. And now it's separate from Rolling Stone. It's a separate thing. Rolling Stone magazine is no more. They do have an online presence, but the magazine's done.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, amazing. Amazing. So, Jason,
Yeah.
before we get into the Illinois Guitar Expo, as soon as there's way too many images here now. There's way too. Okay, there it is. We have Jason's picks. So, what are we talking about today, Jason?
Steve Vai's new record. Well, new old record, as it were. But yeah, it's Steve Vai and Gash. And interesting story. This guy Gash was, obviously the guy's nickname. I forget. He had a what was his name? Joe. I don't have it here, but anyway,
Gash.
Well, Gash was his nickname. He was he rode a Harley, and he and Steve was apparently into riding Harleys in the early '90s. And this was
so
like
Steve Vai and this guy. So Steve Vai always wanted to do a project based around Harley Davidson motorcycle riding music.
Yeah,
and that's how this came about. And for some reason, I don't know where the graphic went that I saved somewhere because I'm old.
And I got shelved for a while too, or something. Right now, they're just getting it out. Is that?
Yeah, it was in the early '90s. So what happened was the guy, when he was in his early 20s, had a really horrible motorcycle wreck. He actually caught on fire, fell over an embankment, and landed on barbed wire. So he was like horribly burned, lost an ear, all this.
Dude, that's like from Naked Gun type of accident.
Yeah, he like moves to LA, keeps riding. He gets back on the bikes again, and he and Steve meet, and they're like, they're riding buddies. And Steve said he wanted to write the type of music that he wanted to hear when he was, when he was on his scoot. So this guy apparently had a voice, and they went in the studio and they did the stuff. Well, the guy ended up dying, got another motorcycle wreck, and passed away in like '98. And I guess Steve's been sitting on the tapes for 30 years, and he finally decided, you know what, let's put it out. So,
yeah,
it's just good straight ahead, 80s, early 90s type rock. Steve's playing's really out there, as we all know, but this was pretty conservative for him, guitar wise. Good solos though,
Yeah.
But anyway, I just thought it was a neat story, and it was, I love the fact that he finally got around to put it out just to honor his buddy and all that.
Oh, absolutely, and and good for them. And hey,
I saw a TikTok video of Steve talking about releasing that after like 30 years.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah. I could tell he was pretty sincere about it,
Yeah.
Right, because Jason, initially when you said it, I thought you said my gash. I'm like, oh, Vigash. And hey, who doesn't like a little, but I think that's a pretty cool tribute.
Yeah.
To come. I mean, look at the burns on this guy.
Oh yeah, his whole chest. He had all kinds of skin grafts, and you see he's missing an ear.
Yeah, I mean this.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome.
Had a rough time of it for sure.
But So do you have a book for us this week, Jason, or just?
I just finished up the one that I talked about last week, the Custer book. I haven't started another one yet, so I'm yet on the books this week.
Gotcha. Well,
yeah. What's that? Oh, it's the CreatiVity spy balloon.
CreatiVity Talkin.
No, it's a
spy balloon. You know what? It was made in China. Saved $12.
I can get a box of. I can get a whole pallet of them for 99 days.
Exactly. You want me to tell you the weather? No problem. You just have to go on wish.com and order Baroon.
Yeah, Alibaba.com.
Right.
Oh.
So we got a little bit of news here on something I haven't done in a while because I have to find the graphics. So I'll just keep talking uncomfortably. Reboot news with V. Okay, so we have a reboot. Actually, they're bringing a show back, and I couldn't be more happier. King of the Hill. God damn it, Bobby!
Dad!
Son, Bobby, what you doing up on the roof?
I'm up here playing with my wiener.
God damn it, boy, get down here. Hank, your son, he ain't right. Dude, I love that show. I can't wait. You know what I used to do when I worked at a car dealership? I would do greatest hits sung by Hank Hill. So I'd be like, I'd start singing like Neil Young, oh man, take a look at my life. I'm alive like you.
That's pretty good.
But
I never got into the show, but what I loved was
or Bobby.
the road would,
Yeah,
the guys on the road would always do the acting and play it out every week. So
Yeah.
Oh, totally. Yeah. One of the so I don't do karaoke often, but we mentioned earlier you were talking about something, and it was back when the pandemic hit, and how I got sick. I was at a karaoke night, right? And people are like, V, do karaoke. I'm like, I fucking hate karaoke. Is there a band to play with? You know what I mean? Because people are like, oh, I sing. Oh, who do you sing with? Oh, karaoke night. Fuck you. You know what I mean? Shut the fuck up. You don't sing. You go and you drunk, marble. So there was like a few guys that it was driving me crazy. And one time, and I feel bad, I was at karaoke. This guy was going on song 4. I'm like, no. No. And I took the mic out of his hand.
Oh man.
I'm like,
That's
dude.
That's a Cardinal Senate karaoke night, man.
Right.
It was so bad.
Oh man.
And I'm like, hey, play Walk, what was it? Walk the Line or whatever, or
Yeah.
what do you call it? I hear the train coming, so I hear the train coming. It's coming round the bend. And he's like, how'd you know I was gonna play that song? I'm like, get the fuck out of here, dude. Killing everyone. I'm like, no offense, but holy shit. So everyone's like, oh, V, go up there. So like, do something we can dance to. So I did a Brian Setzer song. Fine. Did pretty well. And they're like, oh, and then all the girls are like, oh, play some Bon Jovi. I'm like, I fucking hate those. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. So I do Wanted Dead or Alive, right? And I go home and I almost fucking die from COVID because I caught it off the mic.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's funny. So it's not funny, but so what wound up happening is I wound up living. My brother wound up dying from psychological things related to COVID through suicide. So now I have to, before the next time I go on stage, I have to sing Wanted Dead or Alive. Just to make it right with the universe as a fuck you. You know what I mean? Okay, got it.
Yeah.
But still weird.
Wanted Dead or Alive is your song.
Yeah. So my son, he works with rap bands. And so this kid comes in early 20s. And he's like, oh, your son was telling me that, you listen to blues and jazz and stuff. And I'm looking for new beats. I'm like, well, what do you know about jazz? He goes, nothing. I went, really? I'm like, okay, sit down, son. I'm going to give you a little lesson. Here's 10 names, and it's like Glenn Miller, Duke Ellington, Louis Prima, Bird, Dizzy Gillespie, a couple other big band guys, and John Coltrane.
Yeah.
And I'm like, take these 10 and come back in 6 months. He goes, not in a month. I'm like, no.
It's gonna take more.
Yeah. I'm like, absorb this because this will change your life. It's different structures,
Yeah.
And I wish people, because I listen to jazz almost all day when I'm driving. And but I live in the blues rock space.
Yeah.
But I just wish more people would listen to that because it's all in there. Country, swing, blues.
Well, all the guys gigging, playing the blues and all the other stuff, and then they'd get up after their gig. They'd all meet up at the after party, and they'd, oh man, we played all the standards. Let's play fast, man. Let's get all crazy as we can get, and and that's and then where it really all came about and all the craziness.
Yeah, depending what was broke out after the first gig, if it was white or black, it'd be either fast or slow.
Yeah.
Back in the day. But I actually drove Louis Armstrong's great nephew last week. That was pretty cool.
Wow.
And I wind, I run into all these people. This one lady's like, she's like, yeah, I used to date all these gangsters back in the, in the 50s. And like, dude, you get these great stories. One guy, his dad and mom owned a juke joint in Mississippi.
Yeah.
In the 1940s. And you hear all these, all these great, he's like, buddy, guy came through, all these, 40s through the 60s. He's like, dude, I picked cotton for $1 a day. And I was a great baseball player. So on Sunday, it wasn't the Negro League, but there was another baseball league that a bunch of black guys played on, and they paid you $100 a day. Nice. So $100 every Sunday when everyone else is making $1.
Right.
Wow.
So you get these great stories, and
and
what's really odd about the younger generation trying to erase history is like, dude, you need the history. You need to absorb what happened, and there's so much that you can learn from it.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Right.
It's there for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I'm that's the cut I'm kind of worried about is there's the disconnect between this younger generation with the musicians and such. It's like they got the instruments down and everything, but there's so much more that goes with it to really be just, to do something with it. There's so much more. All that history, like again, it goes back to everything they're learning. Those people learn out of real life, not trying to learn notes.
Yeah, like when me and Jason went to school together, we had this guy, Milton, Uncle Milt, we called him. And he had this big white beard, big fluffy hair, Cuban dude, and he had one of those things in his throat. But it was plugged, so he can talk. He just never got it sewn up.
Yeah.
But this guy, the last person he put out on his record label was Casey and the Sunshine Band.
Yeah.
He was the first DJ in the South to play Elvis Presley.
Oh, wow.
And everyone would be making fun of this guy. Oh, why fuck this guy does that? And he'd fall asleep mid-lecture. Literally. Would fall asleep.
Yeah.
But he had all the stories.
Yeah.
So all the guys and people who knew what was going on, that was the best class ever.
Yeah.
You'd come in there and he'd just tell you, regale about, 1950s with the mob coming in and, these guys trying to play this place. This guy got whacked. This guy got sold. That lady wound up in prostitution. Like all this bizarre, stuff.
Right. And that's
people,
that's where all that music came from, though.
Like I had a buddy of mine, good buddy of mine. Now I was spoiled. My guitar player for 15 years, he could listen to a song, and I sang metal back in the day, and played drums. So he could listen to a song once and play it.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, So when we split and I'm hanging out with this new guitar player, also a good friend of mine, he could play every note that Randy Rhoads ever played and correctly, but he couldn't write a song.
Right. Yeah.
Like he could play everyone else's stuff blindfolded.
Right.
Hey, Brian, let's write a song. What?
Yeah.
What do you mean, what? Like, really? And I'm not bashing them.
Right.
There's all kinds of different types. There's all kinds of different types, and I think it takes both kinds. There's people that need to, and the people that play with the feeling, there's people that can just learn everything note for note, like, wow, that was incredible. But, play something in the key of, put some feeling, it's like, well, I got to know the notes,
Right.
And then there's people that can't read notes and just play,
Right.
The world needs all kinds. I think there's room for all kinds. It's just
like there's an interesting thing that I saw the other day. Steve Morris was in an all-star jam. Okay, so there's like 4 guitar players. Steve Morris is no slouch.
Yeah, right.
He's played with Purple for 20
years,
7 years or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So they're going through this thing. I don't know if he has something cognitive happening, but that's made me wonder. you have all these other guys going through. It's a blues jam.
Yeah.
It's not anything, and I'm not talking down blues, but it's not some intricate Yngwie Malmsteen
Yeah.
Bach fifth,
Right.
on the seventh fret. No, it's straightforward. Boom. And when it wasn't his turn, he wouldn't play. Like he wouldn't even play the rhythm of it.
Oh wow.
He wouldn't kick in with just or
He struck me as one that plays by what he learned.
It was very interesting to watch because I watched it several times. I'm like, I've never seen that.
Well, blues,
usually they at least fake it.
Blues, but blues is one of those things that a lot of guys. I sort of crack up when other guitar players sneer at blues like it's so simple and basic.
Yeah, no,
until you try to play it, because if you don't got it, it'll show.
Right. Yeah. The people say it's like simple and basic. They miss the whole point because there's a thing to it, and then when you lock into that, then it becomes as big as the universe, and you can do all kinds of stuff with it, and it's not boring at all. You can move it around and shape it. You can dance. You can do anything you want with it.
But my buddy of mine, there are people that just can't play it. They can't.
Yeah.
They can play the technical stuff, but they can't play the blues.
Yeah, like a buddy of mine plays harder stuff, and like Pat, I was telling you. So Pat is playing with the country artist now, and he's like, "Yeah, it's really, they wanted him because he's a harder edge sound."
Yeah,
I'm like, "Okay." He goes, "But I really like these single note leads." I'm like, "Okay, here's what you need to do. Next week, all you got to do is listen to BB King. I think it's live 1958 at some prison. Like he did something similar to Johnny Cash, or Johnny Cash did something similar to him. So listen to that 1908 performance, and you'll know everything that you need to know.
Yeah,
like that'll inform you because blues and country blues at that time were all intertwined.
Yeah.
But the sensibility of it, I think, would work. But
and what's interesting is, I mean, on that note, it's like it is intertwined. The only difference is the blues came because the black people, they feel it real good, and the white people they was trying to do it, but they couldn't.
Right,
it's a lot straighter.
yeah, absolutely.
They were trying to, but that was really what it came from.
Yeah, and until they stole all the music and then put it out as rock and roll.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But anyway, Jason, we're gonna have to have you back. We're already at an hour 40, like effortlessly. Like you're a great guest. We'd love to have you back. Anytime you got something going on, let us know. We'll have you on. And even like, if we're like, hey, we don't have a guest, man, are you around? If you don't have a gig, come on, man.
Come hang out with us,
Yeah, that'd be awesome, man. Well, thank you guys.
Absolutely. And where do we get this Jason Wells Band rock and roll coffee, dark roast?
Yeah, I want to check that out.
JasonWellsMusic.com. Yeah,
right on.
It's good stuff. It's the real deal. It's you'll judge every cup of coffee to that after you drink it. It's that good.
Only dark roast?
You have music. Go ahead, Jason.
I was just wondering, is it only dark roast, or do you have medium? You have different.
I have the blues, which is a breakfast blend, the rock and roll, which is a dark roast, and then I have a hard rock, which I call the darkest roast.
Cool.
Nice.
I'm gonna grab some. Yeah, I want to check it out.
Good stuff. Yeah, it's real
Absolutely.
good.
I'm have to
coffee.
Get some of that blonder blend. I'll get the blue stuff. Otherwise, my stomach gets all wrecked. But and they can also find music to purchase there as well.
Yeah, I got all kinds of stuff on my website, my calendar, my schedule, music. You can listen to it. You can buy. Oh, on my website there also, you can download a whole album for free. I got a thing where you can give a donation if you want, but it's a live album we did at Duncan Hall, which is in Lafayette. We got an organ player and everything. It's really cool. So you can download it for free.
And is that where the video is from online? The live video? From Duncan Hall, right? Live video on YouTube.
There's a bunch of YouTube videos. I got all kinds of stuff up there. Yeah.
And everyone, right now, go to YouTube, look up Right Back Where I've Been by Jason Wells. This song is mega kick-ass.
Yeah.
I've listened to it about 12 times today, man.
Awesome. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, you've been nothing but gracious. Thank you very much. Thanks for being a great Hoosier neighbor next door to our state of Illinois. And
we'll
Jason,
stay in touch.
Absolutely, man. And if I can make it, are you playing anywhere near Chicago-ish?
Yes. I know for sure we're gonna do Racine Party on the Party on the Pavement. That's north of Chicago or somewhere in there, maybe.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big festival up there. We're gonna be playing at. That's in September, and there's gonna be we're gonna be coming through your area. We're working on finalizing a lot of stuff right now. So
all right, yeah, man, love to be at your show. And if you have anything that you're coming out with, dude, let us know. We'll do an album release party live on the podcast for you and help you any way we can. And anything that you need for the program, sharing music with the kids and getting them to take up that
sure, man,
monumental thing, we would gladly help, man.
Awesome, man. Yeah, thank you guys very much. We'll definitely keep in contact and keep all that going.
Nice.
Oh, and one more thing with the reboot news, I forgot to bring this up. They rebooted Velma from Scooby-Doo.
What?
That's Shaggy.
Shaggy?
No.
Like Shaggy.
Yeah. Velma is now the Indian chick from The Office, and Shaggy is this guy, and there's no fucking Scooby-Doo at all.
That ain't right.
No.
You don't take over Scooby-Doo and make it your own personal project. They're characters. Do whatever you want. Is Velma maybe a lesbian? Could be, and I'm okay with that.
Hey, she was kind of hot, man.
Hey, man. Scooby-Dooby-Doo. But anyway, all right, guys. We'll see you next time. Jason, brother, love you.
Love you, man.
Thank you, Mr. Wells, for coming on. We appreciate it. You've been one of the best guests we've ever had.
Thank you, man.
Have you back and soon and often.
All right. Awesome. Sounds good.
So,
All right.
horns up, guys. We'll see you next time.